Hi, this is Jared, and in this video I'm going to be discussing a freeware software called Greenshot. I'll bring open that page now in the Edge browser here on Windows 10, and I'm here at getgreenshot.org. You're welcome to Google Greenshot and find your way here. That's fine. And I've already downloaded and installed it. It is a free product, and it has no extras during the install process, likely because they're surviving off of their donations. So if you have the means to, after you love this like I do, feel free to go ahead and donate, and that'll help keep them from having ad-based revenue or something like that, or extras in the install process that you don't want. So why would we use this over something else? Let's do a little bit of history about how you would take screenshots, and we'll talk about that. So in the Windows environment, you would hit the print screen key, and it would actually copy your entire screen to the clipboard, and then you could then paste it somewhere, and you might, you know, crop it or deal with it with other tools after the fact, and it really wasn't unified and easy to deal with. Then with Windows 7 and 4, they gave us the snipping tool, which is kind of nice, but let's show you how far that gets you. It's thankful it goes a little further, but it kind of stops somewhere. So I'll show you those stop points. I'll hit Start and type in SNI, like snipping tool. And then here it comes up, and I'll hit the new here to do a region capture. And now it's captured it in here, and the snipping tool really only has two tools and an eraser. Pen, highlighter, eraser. That's it. So we're on the pen by default. If I want to draw an arrow, I just freehand draw it in here, and I'm here to tell you, I'm not as artistic as some, and even if I were, I can't really make it straight no matter how hard I try. So that arrow is kind of sad looking. Also, we'll go to the highlighter. I want to highlight this sentence, so I'll click and I'll highlight that sentence, and I'm trying to be as straight as possible, but I'm here to tell you that's not a straight highlight. So that also is not immensely precision. The eraser just lets you erase one element at a time that you've drawn, so I can erase that whole arrow and give it another go, but it's not getting any straighter. So I've done something and I need to take another screenshot. I can save it beforehand, but what if I get in a hurry and forget? And I need to do a new one. I need two for the price of one. Oops, the old one is completely gone. There's no are you sure, it's gone. And so that's the snipping tool. It has a little bit further than we had before, but now you understand why some people go out there and pursue a more precision screen capture program. Okay, so here's Greenshot. I've already got it installed, and it dominantly takes over the print screen key after its installation. You're welcome to change that if you want later. I'll show you that. So I'll hit print screen, and now I've got crosshairs and a magnifier that lets me see exactly where those crosshairs are, so I can do a precision select. I'll come up here to the left and select this whole region, and now it's asking me a question. Do I want to display the save dialog and choose where to save it, or save directly to my default path, whatever that is? I'll show you that in a moment. Or open it in the image editor. Well, I don't really like to answer questions, so I like to have my choices defined. So I'm going to show you how I set it up, and you'll probably like that too, perhaps. So I'll close out of here. I want to define my parameters. So at the bottom right now, Greenshot's icon is showing, or you could hit that and see more icons, tray icons that is. So I'll right click on the tray icon for it and just go to Preferences. On the General tab here is where you find the ability to go ahead and change the hotkey from print screen to something else of your own choosing if you don't want that to be the hotkey for a region capture within Greenshot. So I'm not going to change it at this point. You can explore that. I'll go to the Capture tab here. There's two things I turn off or on. Show notifications. It'll have a little bubble at the bottom right saying, I took a screenshot. Well, I just told it to. I don't need an extra bubble, so I turn that off. At the bottom here is the editor, match capture size. So if I take small shots all the time and the editor's tiny, that's great. If I take a big one and it's still tiny, well, I like it to grow with the image. So I check this one off. I find it useful. Then we'll go to the Output tab. Here's the default storage location. So if I told it to save in its default location, it would be the desktop. That would make my desktop kind of cluttered, so I recommend picking one of your own. I'll hit the ... to the right of this path, and I'll go into Documents and create a new folder for these captures called Screen Captures. Okay, so there's my folder. I'll hit OK, and now that destination has changed. That's the only thing I mess with on the output tab. Now we'll go to the destination tab, and this is the one that says select destination dynamically. That's why I'm being asked that question, what do you want to do with it? I know what I want to do, so I'm going to uncheck that. I like it to save in the default directory that I just chose called screen captures. So I choose that option number 2. And option number 3, open in image editor. So it's really going to do 2 things, not just one. And if I'm in a rush, I know that I can take a screen capture and close the editor and come back to it later and edit it. So that's why I like it doing both. All right, so I'll hit OK at this point. And now I'll hit print screen again. And instead of it asking me questions, it does exactly what I set it up for. So I release. Boom, it has saved it in my location and it has opened my editor. At this point, we get to see there's a lot more tools to choose from. So we'll cover how much nicer this is than the snipping tool. I'll first choose that arrow tool right here. As you hover over these, you notice it says A. So A would be the hotkey for arrow. And you can teach yourself the other ones by using the hover trick to find out what they are. So I will click and hold here and drag left, and you'll notice it's making a nice arrow in whatever angle I want. But if I want it to be straight, we run into that same problem. So I'll hold the shift key down, and now it's snapping to rigid points across there, whether diagonal or straight, horizontal or vertical. So holding shift is a trick for a straight line. I'll release now, and we're good. It's pointing at Greenshot. Now let's say I want to put a text box describing what that arrow is pointing at. So I'll hit the T for text box over here on the left side, and then I'll draw a text box right here. This is cool! Exclamation. If the font size isn't to your liking, you can hit the up and down arrow right here, make it smaller, make it bigger, and you notice that little arrow just kind of came in there. Reason being is there's no fill color inside that box just yet by default. I like to make it a white fill color. So where you would do that is at the extreme left here, you have the little bucket for the fill color, and right now it is completely transparent with an alpha level of 0. So you just go ahead and pick any white you like here. It's now fully opaque. Alpha, and we hit apply, and now it's a text box that's like that. So that's cool. If you need to move any of these elements around, they're actually separate in their own layers in the order you add them. You can actually also demote them and move them in different relationships to each other. So that's important to know about. So I'll go ahead and deselect this by hitting the select tool at the upper left here. I could hit escape, it accomplishes the same thing. And now I can drag this text box around. If I really wanted it to be behind the arrow, I could right click it and say down to bottom. Now the arrow is on top, and that doesn't look good, so I'll do it the other way. I'll bring it up to the top. Now the arrow is behind it. So you have layers. There's other things that are important. Now we'll show you the highlight tool. We couldn't make a straight line last time. This one automatically does rectangles of any definition you like. You just select your sentence and boom, it's highlighted. If I made a mistake, like I said, all these are individual layer elements. So I'll hit escape, and then I'm at the selecting tool, and I can drag that highlight around anywhere I need it and then back. So, or you can drag it to be wider. So a lot of flexibility there. You also have the ability to blur out certain spots. This one, as I hover over it, it says obfuscate, as in obscure it. So we pick that, and we'll go ahead and block out the fact that it's free, and it pixelizes it by default. If you like a blur at the upper left of the obfuscation mode tool, you can choose blur instead, but the default blur isn't blurry enough, so you can go ahead and turn up the blur radius, and now it's totally blurred out, and no one knows what it says. You can also drag it open and make the blur region bigger. So that's blurring, highlighting, all that kind of stuff. You can add more arrows. You can add a text box. Yours to explore and find out what you like. One last finishing touch that I like to do is add a drop shadow to it before I paste. So over here you'll notice you have your effects. You click on it, and I just choose drop shadow, and it makes a nice drop shadow. So now at this point, I'm ready to copy it to my clipboard. There's a little clipboard emblem up here. I just click that, and now I could open up any kind of text editor. In this case, this doesn't have much on the system, so I'll type in WordPad, WordPad. And there's WordPad, and I'll paste it in, and you'll notice it has that nice drop shadow there. If you're selecting things that are remarkably white and then you're pasting on white, the borders are going to be very obscured, but by adding a real border or a drop shadow, you have a nice artistic way of seeing exactly where that screenshot is. And then you can move a bunch of them around and you can start making documentation. So that's Greenshot and how it can help your life. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have fun. Thanks. Bye-bye.